Well, it's dark out, and might be wondering why we're out here, but as a continuation of our Broody Hen series, we are outside getting ready to work with one of our hens. We kind of did the rounds tonight, and we thought actually yesterday we had one that decided she was going to go broody, and she's still sitting, so now we're kind of into phase 2. Now, the first tip with this video, as you can hear all the wonderful spring peepers and other springtime noises around us, there's American woodcock singing. The first tip here is we build our nest boxes in such a way that we can very easily pick up the whole nest box and move it. The reason we do that is because we want to give the hen kind of the opportunity to be sort of secluded and by herself and not bothered by the rooster and the other hens and that sort of thing. And that just works really well for us. So what we're about to do here is take the whole nest box out. Now, an important note with chickens versus other poultry. Chickens are relatively okay with being moved, having their nest moved. Now, the trick is to do it at night, because then essentially the hen wakes up and her nest is in a new location, and she usually doesn't have a big problem with that. You typically probably want to give it a couple of days before you do that, just to make sure she is sitting well. But yeah, big tip is if you're going to move a hen and you're going to move her nest, whether you're going to do what we do and move the whole nest box, or you can actually take and move the eggs and the hen and then put her back on them. But if you're going to do that, the big tip is do it at night. That's very, very important, because she's not going to be very happy with you if you do it in the daytime. Just an FYI, and she's probably going to abandon it at that point. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to get her moved here. So a couple of little tips here is you want to do this relatively quietly. I'm talking, but normally we would be pretty quiet about it. You don't want to shake her around. You want to be pretty gentle with it so she's not really disturbed too much. And you don't want to leave the light shining at them, because it will wake them up and they'll be grumpy. So I've got her with the nest box. You can maybe see towards my belly, so she can't really get out, anything like that. And I'm just going to walk her into the barn to the location that we have set up for her. So I'm going to head that way, and we're going to put a replacement nest box back in the coop so that the remaining 2 hens, this is a smaller group, it was 3 hens and a rooster, so that the remaining 2 hens might still collect some eggs, and who knows, we might get another one to go broody. Well, since we're outside, we actually have another reason, or another job we have to do. We oh, you can hear the Wilson Snipe there in the background. He sounded like he was pretty close. But we have another small job. We took some of our plants that we got started. There's our onion starts, some of the red Russian kale, and we put them out because it was raining this afternoon, and we figured why not? They can get some benefit out of it, nice and warm. But we want to put them back in the greenhouse before we go in. So we're going to go ahead and do that up too. And to be honest, the nocturnal stuff isn't that bad to have to come out when it's nice out in the spring and do this kind of work in the dark.
I can see my breath.
It's
cold today.
It's cooling down for April, but it's still pretty nice for April. We are the next day, and we're going to take a look and check on our Broody Hen and see how she's doing. And we figured it was easier to show kind of our setup in the daylight when you could actually see what was going on. So we're going to go take a look. Here's our setup that we often use, and basically it's one of our old rabbit hutches. We're going to keep a few of these for this purpose, and also as extra rabbit overflow in the summertime. The nest box goes in. It doesn't have a bottom. You could build one with a bottom. We usually just put them, this is the stall. I'll kind of go around here. This is the stall that the pigs were in the winter. And we haven't done a final clean out since they've gone out. We've been throwing hay down in here from the hay loft. You can see up there. Hopefully it's not too blurry. But anyways, essentially she's in here where it's quieter. We usually leave the door to the stall closed so the other chickens don't bother her. It's a little bit darker too, which is usually helpful. But let's go take a look and see how she's doing. Gonna open the lid here. So you can see she's got water and food. We just make sure she's got that kind of at all times. But there she is, all comfortable in there sitting. And she'll be in there for 21 days, and then we'll give an update on whether we get some chicks or not. I'm pretty sure we will. But she's pretty happy, so we're going to leave her to it. And the best thing is keep them somewhere quiet, kind of out of the way where they're not in the hustle and bustle of all the daily goings on in your farm or homestead. And they usually appreciate that unless they're a really calm hen. But there she is. So number 1. So that's kind of our tips, I guess, for working with broody hens, moving them, which we do find is advantageous to get them out of the coop, because the other hens, if you've got other hens, tend to pester them, or they may lay eggs in the nest. And of course, if they lay them after the broody's been sitting, then you get a delay in incubation, and sometimes you end up with too many eggs. Like, there's a lot of potential issues if you leave them in the main coop. Some people do it and it works, but in our experience, it doesn't work super well. So what you've just kind of seen in this video is how we basically move them to a location that sort of allows them to do it in peace and quiet, and it usually maximizes our chance of getting chicks. So simple little tips. I guess the big one is, if you're going to move a hen, do it at night when it's dark, and just be kind of quiet about it, and she'll probably sit no problem after the move, especially if you put her somewhere relatively quiet and calm. But anyways, on that note, I guess that's our little tip for moving hens, and we'll be back at some point with another video on working with broody hens.